get Z in here. And
Yeah.
I just think it's fun because then you can interact personally with them.
Hey, Joanne. Thanks for joining.
We are just waiting for our speaker tonight to log in, and we'll get the show going. But thanks for being with us. Joanne, you got a favorite drink? Unfortunately, this is a show run by an Italian girl and a Scottish boy. So. Sadly.
Okay, so we're still waiting. So.
Well, I don't. It's we've got somebody logged in as a co-host speaker.
Okay.
Is that you,
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Hold on, let me stop the music. I wasn't sure who you were.
Every time I followed the link, I came to a static page.
Oh
geez.
no.
Yeah, well, we had started it earlier and had just the music going, and then we wanted to talk about something that we didn't want aired. So I had to stop it, and I ended it, and then it was like, oh shit, it's just that it finished. So I had to resend you a link. I was like, there you go. I said, I shouldn't be in charge of this stuff.
The most shortest successful show ever.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It happens sometimes. We've only been doing this since last April, and it was like, it'd be just nice to have one show where it was just like, go, stop, and be done. And it's like, oh my goodness, there were no issues.
Yeah, that'd be boring.
True. So, how are you tonight?
I am wonderful. How about the two of you?
Great. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
We love having, like I said, we started this in April, and we've been doing it all of ourselves, and we've been having fun. And then we decided to reach out. Let's get some interesting people on here. We both have so much curiosity about what other people are doing and what's going on in the world. So it's awesome to have. And when I saw your thing there, the what if, I was like, oh my goodness, I love that title of that.
Yeah, thank you. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So your book is called, obviously, Start With What If, and What If. Yeah, that's my book. What led you to build that entire framework around a single question?
Well, it was, so what's interesting is the book I end up writing is not the book I set out to write. So what I spent some time looking at what is, when there was big changes, and we can talk about some of those in my life or some of the small changes, no matter what, there had been some kind of interrupter, something that would break me from the habits, from the routines, for the standard thinking. And something changed. And so when I started kind of looking at all those things, that ended up becoming kind of that one of the very first things, and I said the word interrupter, but right, is this, there's kind of this pause, there's kind of this stop. And then asking yourself a question. And it goes back to actually when, so my story is that I bankrupted a family business from drug addiction and drinking. And so when I went to get sober or try to at least get my father off my back, because I'd stolen all the money from him, this guy asked me this simple question. He goes, well, what if you went the day without a drink and a drug? And it's not something I'd ever really thought of, because that's what I did every day. And so what I came to see is that you need to do is you need to pause, and then what if does is it gives you an opportunity to kind of reframe, to look at different perspectives and look at different options. And so what I saw through it in my life is that it can be used in the moment. The book is set up for weekly prompts to create immediate change and growth. But it starts with, again, a pause, and then a what-if question to look at your perspectives and options.
See, I imagine that would work for just about anything. So believe it or not, I am a huge introvert. And part of my journey to start this podcast was to help me break out and be more extroverted, and be able to talk to people. I run 2 businesses, and one of them I run with Angela here. And obviously when you're in business, you need to be able to talk to people. And I have a hard time. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten myself into a situation where I've gotten right up to the event door and then turned around and said, nope, going home. Because,
right.
My anxiety and everything starts kicking in. But, again, if I use these rules and said, well, what if I went inside and met somebody who was a great customer?
Right. Well, what if you're being introverted is actually a strength, not a weakness?
I never thought of that either. I really did always think of it as a weakness, because it's difficult sometimes.
Yeah, right. But one of the things that I've seen through years of coaching people and actually have some family members very close to me who are introverted, and that one of the things that I see is that the attention to what's going on around them is, I think, much higher in an introverted person. Sometimes the extroverts are so busy, making so much noise and doing so much out there. But I think that sometimes the introverts actually can have a leg up.
I never thought of it that way. That's awesome. Yeah,
I got to walk through the door, but at least now you're walking through the door from a point of strength.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Geez, now you got me thinking in my head here. I'm just sitting here like, geez, I never thought of that.
Well, that's right. And so that's really kind of, so it starts with that what if question. And so the beautiful thing with the what if question, as simple as that, and let me just say one thing. I started off saying the book I wrote is not the book I planned to write. So I actually planned to write a whole book around using this very simple rule called the what if rule, and it's 3 steps. And so I was going to write this entire book around it. And there's a lot of self-help books out there, right, that do a simple concept and write a whole book about it. And then, I kind of said to myself, well, if it's really simple and it's easy and it's easy to use, you can't do a whole book on it. It makes no sense. So I wrote a chapter on it, and then I wrote the rest of the book about practice in it.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I like that.
And so let me just go back to the what if question. So the thing about a what if question is that, most people use what if to look backwards. Right, with regret. What if I hadn't married?
What if I done? Yeah, what if I done that this way?
What if I done something different?
But it's funny because I do actually at work sometimes do use, well, what if we did it this way, or what if we did it that way? Maybe we can come up with a better way to do something.
Exactly. And what you're doing there with that what if is you're opening up the perspectives and options that are available to you. And so you do it in your business, but you can actually do it at any moment in your life.
True.
Here's a quick story. One of my favorite stories in the book is this woman who, her husband always left cabinet doors open.
Oh my goodness.
Now, as small as it sounds, it drove her crazy. Right. It was just, why can't he close the door? Those doors. Why do I always have to be the one to close it? He knows it bothers me. Right. Doesn't he respect me or whatever? And so she reframed it as what if every time he leaves the door open, I just think of something I really appreciate about him?
There you go. Turn a negative into a positive.
Yeah, change that whole perspective. And so, but the thing is right, it was an irritant in the relationship before, but by her shifting her thinking about that, it changed to something that, at least internally within her, strengthened the relationship.
Right. I'll have to admit, I love that, but I don't know if mentally I could do that. I'd be like, why are you still leaving that door open? I'm trying to be positive about it, but I'm going to,
So that's a good point. So what would you say, Doug, with something like that?
Well, I would just point out that, that when
Well, because
Tango,
I'm
when you're-
Welsh, and we're never wrong.
Right.
You know that, right?
Yeah. And no matter what I say, you're still going to be right, because you're Welsh. So what I would say is that when you're frustrated or irritated over things that other people do, that in reality you have no control over it, the only one who really pays the price is yourself.
True.
Right?
True.
I mean,
and it's funny you say that because we have a friend who deals with a lot of daily stuff, and and we say the same thing. It's like you can't control everything in your life, so the things you can't control, you got to try to find a way to like ignore them or get around them or something, because you can't change them. There's nothing you can do.
No doubt. I put it in a way I just always say is you can't change what you don't own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to take some ownership in it. So, right, in his case, he can't control what these people does, but he does control how he reacts to it.
True.
And reactions are so much of what can be our irritants and create problems throughout our day. And so what the what if rule does is gives you that moment to, instead of just going there where it's just going to annoy you, that you have this moment to pause and then reframe it with a what if question and then do something about it. And that third part is in the what if rule is the third step is go. Right. So it's one thing to reframe something, but you got to take some action with it.
Does action mean like throwing things at people?
Hey, if that, if they're deserving of it, and
I've got people I work with that are just, I don't know. I think they do things on purpose, like just like see how far we can push him today. It's like sometimes I just want to pick up my X-Acto knife and just go, see if you can catch this.
Yeah, probably. Your insurance will definitely go up after that. So,
I'm sure too, but
that's 7 steps away.
Yeah, no, that's probably not a good idea. But I love that whole philosophy of taking something negative, running it through the what if, and making it a positive.
Yeah, right.
I wish more people. I mean, I'm going to see if I can. I'm going to try. And just look at me like, good luck.
No, I'm not. That's actually a good thing. I think a lot of times, though, that's easier said than done, because I think we just have that. It's almost like an impulse where you're like, it's a reaction, like you just have that react where you're not really consciously saying to yourself, wait a second, what if I look at this a different way?
Right. I'm an impulse person, being Irish, Welsh, and Scottish descent. we're like, wait a minute here. Yeah. I mean, I'm that way too. I don't know if it has anything to do with me being Italian, but I just am like, I react. I'm very reactive to a lot of different things, So,
and that's why that's where the pause just comes in so much. And you said it right, Angela. Right? It's those reactions that really. Somebody does something, we have this natural reaction. And so often it can be like, well, what if what is really behind what that person is doing isn't what looks like on the surface? I mean, I don't think anyone gets up in the morning and go, can't wait to annoy the crap out of the boss today.
Right.
And now you may have one or two, right?
Well, I'm the boss, so I
know, I knew that, right? Yes, so that's why I say it, right. But what if there's something else there?
But of my other business, yeah. Angela's the boss of the show.
See, he's got it right. Yeah,
he does have it right. Believe me.
I've learned a long time ago you don't mess with an Italian woman.
Yes, I live in a very Italian part of my town, and so.
So then, okay, so with all of that being said, and we like what you're saying here, how do you literally start to, like, what's the process? How do you turn this around now? Like, how do you go from being so reactive?
Like reprogramming your brain.
Yeah, like to reprogram your brain to just, is it, like you said, is it as simple as when you were writing your book, the what if, one chapter now turning into a whole book? Or what goes along with that? Talk us through that part of it.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining in tonight, and I hope you're enjoying the show. Just a few little announcements here. If you are in any way enjoying our show, please, give us a shout out. Share, like, subscribe. Tune into the live shows on Tuesday night at 6, and throw some hearts in there. All that stuff helps us expand this show and bring in guests and keep our equipment upgraded. And if you go to patreon.com/Tango Talk 66, or if you go to our website hmprintanddesign.com and look under podcast, you'll see all of our shows there, all the episodes. But you can be a sponsor of the show, and we have different gifts at different tiers. So we're just asking you, I don't, it's going to sound weird, but even if you don't listen to the show, just, log in and give us, subscribe and give us a couple of likes and some hearts. And it would really, really, really mean a lot to us. And we would certainly appreciate it. But other than that, let's get back to the show, and thank you.
Yeah, I think like any skill, right, or new behavior, it's something that has to be learned. And right. And so look, and let's also remember, right, that reactions are also very healthy. That car is coming right at me. I should probably jump out of the way. Right?
Yeah.
Right. That's a good reaction. And so,
no.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's that so often, especially reactions happen a lot when we're tired and irritated. Maybe we're hungry, had a rough day, and then come home and a simple little question is asked. And before you know it, right, I mean, it's like, hey, could you take out the garbage? What? You don't think I ever take out the garbage? What? You think it's, what? You don't think I do everything around here? Why are you questioning me? Right. And so if you pause and then you go, well, what if I just take this at the surface level? Right. I think, we talk about our reactions.
The actual situation instead of what you think is happening.
Yeah. That pause and that reframing can be just so important. And it's not just reactions. I mean, one of the things we find is that the stories that we tell ourselves, that whether it's stories that were given to us by our parents, by teachers growing up, and some of the stories have served us well, but are no longer relevant. Some of the stories were never true. I mean, I meet people and I coach people who they'll have a story that they've told themselves that, I don't like confrontation. Well, why, right? Let's go back and look at, well, why? And so knowing that story, right? So the minute they would say, well, if somebody's starting to get upset, I can't talk to them anymore, is a point there where you need to pause and just kind of say, well, what if it's important that I say what I need to say here? What if I give this person a chance to say what's on their mind, and then I can respond? But right, instead of this, the turning around and say, "Well, I don't do that."
Right. Yeah, I think that's very important. I think it's very important to let everybody have their time to speak how they're feeling in the moment. And
yeah, I see. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're not.
Well, because we've talked about it. So me and Angela were venturing out into another business, and we've made it very important that at least once a week we sit down and talk about anything. I don't care if you don't like where I put my water glass. I want to know. You know what I mean? I can move my water glass, but if nothing gets said, then eventually we get to the point where it's just like, we hate coming into work together.
Right. Yeah, no doubt that communication. And here's a simple little tip, and especially when you're coaching your employees or what have you, and this isn't even in the book, but and it's actually fun. It's a parenting technique that I learned that I actually use on just adults all the time. So it's anytime you want to talk with someone about something that maybe they would be defensive or what have you, is you just position it in the future. So instead of saying, I don't like that you where you leave your water, you could say, well, in the future, do you think you could just put your water somewhere, maybe off, not near the computers? Nobody can get defensive. Yeah. Nobody can get defensive about something that hasn't happened yet.
Well, and it also changes the whole tone, rather than, it's
attack.
almost like,
so it's almost
like you're attacking somebody by saying,
can you move your water?
Just move your water. Don't put it there,
Right.
It's a different approach to it. Like
I agree.
You're right.
Yeah, so if you put it in the future.
Nobody can get mad at something that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to teach a whole coaching process just around that. And you just say, hey, I saw you. Hey, I saw that you do this. But, what I would love is in the future, you just do this. And so, again, you're not really putting it out there in a way that someone can be defensive and feel the need to create this whole story for themselves around that.
I just have to ask, I'm always kind of marveled and amazed by people like you who can come up with these books with these ideas and theories that are so, to me, they sound so powerful. If you did it this way, it's a totally different take on, instead of just, pointing a finger at somebody or, making a comment. How do you come up with these? Is it just through trial and error through your life, or?
I was going to joke and say, well, I think, I'm not that smart. So the less smart you are.
Well, second, because you're so quiet, it's like, well, we lost Doug.
Yeah. I was just going to say, believe me, it's not from intelligence.
No, come on.
No,
seriously, there has to, there really is a super level of intelligence to be able to remember that that this worked and this didn't work, and then put them into a book. I think I could do that.
And you could, and positive you could, and maybe it's
Mine
a book called
sarcasm.
Maybe it'd be a book, a book on what to do if your boss is Welch. Right. So,
oh my God, I'm going to write that down.
Yeah. You know a few people that would buy it. That's for sure.
Yes.
Although you'd probably want to give it to them. But,
probably.
So for me, I think there's two things. One is that I am this big believer that there's nothing really new, but there can always be a new way of looking at it and be able to share it with someone else. And
that is so amazing, because I say that. So I'm in the graphics field, and I always say to people, there isn't really anything called new design. Okay, I didn't develop the circle or the square or any of these shapes, but these shapes make up. I can take these shapes and make them into something that you like, but I didn't develop these shapes. So I always say to people, there really isn't, when it comes to, I'm killing myself, but when it comes to, I don't know if it's the word creativity or whatever, but you know what I mean? Art isn't really new. You're not creating something new. You're just taking those shapes and putting them into a layout that looks appeasing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're presenting it in a different way, and probably really right. It's no different, in my book, and the thing also for me is that I kind of I've always believed that there's brilliance, and I think Einstein said it, or Abe Lincoln, right? Those are two are always quoted on the internet, right? But I believe that really Einstein said, right? There's brilliance and simplicity. So I believe, and a quick little story. I was director of retail for Bose, and we had rolled out this whole new 7-step sales process, and it had all these sub-steps, and I just thought it was brilliant. And I'm going around to all our locations, and I'd go up to salespeople, and I'd be like, "Hey, can you tell me the 7 steps?" And some would try to rattle it off, but it was clear they didn't really know them much. And so I was getting madder and madder at our trainers and what have you. And
then, you may know them, you may know the words, but do you know?
Well, they couldn't even say, right, they were supposed to have been trained to know them in the order. And so I'm in the store, and I still remember I was in St. Augustine, Florida, and I go up to this flippant little college guy, and I go, "Hey, can you tell me the 7 steps of the sale?" And he goes, "No, can you?"
Did you rattle them off?
Your answer?
Right. And I stumbled. Right. I had to think it through. And it was at that
Great
point, it's like,
comeback.
oh my God, right? 7 steps, right? You're supposed to do with a customer. And so it was kind of almost at that moment that I said, gosh, you're much better off having 2 steps that you nail than 7 steps that you do really half-ass.
Yeah.
That would have been me, but I totally would have been like, no, but do you?
Yeah. I was wondering where that kid is at. So, right. So by taking again, you could say, let's start with what if that, right. It's reframing. You could say it's mindfulness. You can put all the things out there. But what I've been able to do is break it down to something that I use into something very simple and usable. And here I think is the key is, how many times have we been like afterwards, oh man, I wish I hadn't done that. Oh man, we should have thought of this. And instead, I'm giving you that little simple tool to be able to just kind of pause in the moment, reframe it with a what if question, and then take some kind of action.
I think even psychologists and therapists even say, take a pause before you react to something.
Yeah. And I think it's really hard to,
well, like me, I know I'm in, when somebody says something to me, because I'm a wise ass, I know I am. So I'm immediately with, something back at them. And then it's like 20 minutes later, it's like, can we talk?
Right.
Because I didn't
like,
say it that way.
Should you actually have said it that way?
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes I think it's really hard to go from, doing things one way to now taking that pause and thinking about it, because you've been, so it's really kind of like retraining yourself to, do things differently. So take that pause and take a different step, look at it differently, take a different approach.
Well, and I think also on top of that, like if you're a business owner and you've got people underneath you, you're just used to like, this is what I told you to do. Just do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you want to keep good working people, you need to, rephrase what you say to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you talked about, how do you apply it? And so the thing that really works, and I was very pleased because the early reviews came in that one of the things that people got was, you know what, I can do something today on just that. You're not asking me to, right? Most books, right? They want you to change your whole self, and right, and you're going to be who you're going to be. All I'm trying to do is help you maybe improve a moment in your day. And maybe, again, it's a moment that can help you do more sales. Maybe it's a moment to help you be better relationship with your employees or your co-owner. Right. It's right. But these are just, I'm not asking you to, in this approach. And I'm not even telling you to do it. What I'm asking in a what if question is just for you to even think about maybe, there's a possibility of something different. You see what the book.
No, I love that.
Is,
I think that okay. I think that's 100% on the mark because there's never one set way to do something. You know what I mean? There's always a. Well, what if we did it this way, or what if I said it this way, or and the problem is like hindsight's always 20/20. You can always look back and go, well, if I said it this way, maybe this would have happened. But if you can take that pause, like you say, and think it through for just a split second, then maybe you can work it the right way.
Yeah, and I would even say is that time that you reacted or you said something, that maybe, sarcasm can be used, right, for good. It can break up a moment. It can make things easier. And, it can also take someone out the knees and they don't even know it.
It's my second language.
Yeah, exactly. And I know it quite well. But if those moments where you weren't, real pleased with how you acted, you can actually turn around and just afterwards go, well, what if next time I handle it like this? instead of just feeling that remorse and looking back, you can just kind of stop and ask yourself, well, what if next time I do this? And just having that fast 10-second internal conversation can start to prep you for the next time that situation arises.
Could that also be used? So say I'm having a conversation with an employee, and then, it doesn't go well. And then maybe, the next day or a day or two, can it also be applied to like, well, maybe next time you could handle it like this?
You're saying that to the employee?
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things was, when we're as owners, we're so fast. I mean, how many things come up in a day, right? And it's just a crazy number. If you carried a clicker, you'd be like, oh, my thumb. I think I sprained my thumb counting all the crap that comes up every day.
Just from emails.
Yeah, right. And so I think one of the things that you can do is making sure that when your interactions with your employees is that each opportunity, you're also developing them. And so I think one of the most important things that owners can do is quit telling employees what to do and asking them what they think they should do.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Now you're teaching rather than telling.
Yeah.
I came close one time. I had a guy that was supposed to, he wanted the Friday off. So I said, you can have Friday off, but you need to come in Saturday morning to finish this order because the customer's picking it up Monday morning. So I come in Monday morning, the order's still sitting there. So he shows up and he kind of, instead of going through the front door, he went to the back door, and I met him there. I was like, you need to go home and think about whether you want to be here anymore. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, we had a deal and you didn't hold up your end. So you need to go home and think about whether you actually, if you really want to work here. And he went home, and then he come back the next day, and he's like, I don't understand why you sent me home. I was just like,
oh, geez, right.
It was so you could reflect on our conversation about me giving you the day off, but you have to do this, and you didn't do it.
Right, yeah. I mean, what I might have done in that situation is, hey, I see the order is still here. What are we going to do here to make this right for both the customer and for the company? What do you think I should do?
True.
Yeah. And what's interesting, when you actually give customers and employees that question, most of them will come up with things that are much worse than what you would do.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So if we go back a little bit, just kind of putting this in practice. So the thing, I'd said, right, that I was going to write the whole book. And so then I was like, no, it's got to be a chapter. So what's the rest of the book? And so the rest of the book they're all about these. There's 53 weekly questions on a what if question for someone to maybe on Sunday night, Monday morning, or just read it and pick one, is to think about something that's happening in their life and a way to, so in each chapter, I started off with a what if question, and then I gave you like an either background, a story, something I'd seen, or if something famous or what have you. And then it's a way to start each week with going into it with, like, I'll just give you a question. Like, here's number 17. This is, what if this week you didn't let someone's bad mood or negativity affect you? So you go.
That doesn't really
apply to you, does it?
It doesn't really apply to me because I'm just like, I don't give a fuck if you're in a bad mood.
So see, this is great, Doug. He's getting some education right at the moment. So
yeah,
I get told on a regular basis,
he's a tough nut to crack.
He's got his condom suit on today. He's going to be a prick. He's going to be this. He's going to be that. It's just like.
Quick question: Do those employees interact with customers?
Yes.
Yeah, so you should care if they're having a bad day.
They actually do a much better job than I do. But sometimes they go they're too accommodating. You know what I mean? Like they're going outside of our boundaries that what we can do for them. So sometimes I have to kind of like peek out. It's like, can you come here for a second? We can't do that. So you just, and sometimes he argues a little bit, but I'm like, but you got to keep it within our price range and our capabilities. You know what I mean? I'm all for making the customer happy, obviously, but you got to keep it within our company boundaries.
Did you give that? Do they know what that is?
They do, but still, they're one of those people that just are always willing to, like, they just really want to make other people happy. Mm-hmm. And he really is a good guy, you know what I mean? And our relationship has come a long way from being like me telling him, like, I can't stand when I see your car come around the corner to now I take him out almost every Friday, and we go to lunch together and we hash out things, that are going on in the shop, and we have a couple of beers, and then we go back to work, so it's worked out. It's working out very nice for us now. But, sometimes I still have to wrangle them in and be like, okay, I understand you're trying to get the sale, which is awesome, but always remember what we do here. And, we need to make money on everything, which, it sucks to say that, but if we don't make money, nobody gets paid.
I have a guy I did a lot of work with, and he used to tell his employees all the time, he goes, look, the only thing my bank takes is money. They don't take compliments. They don't take, I'll be back. They only take money.
I'm going to put that on my desk.
Yeah. So the one thing I would say, Tango, would be, I would much rather have an employee that I got to hold back from making the customer too happy than customers who don't give a damn about making a customer happy.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Right, so,
I agree.
Right. So the key is to give someone the framework, like, right, you can go up to this point and be, so whatever you can discount by 10% or whatever the number is, if you think it's the right thing to do. And then anything beyond that, you want to just come ask and give them some little bit of that ownership.
I like that. That's good.
A good idea. Yeah.
So I see here. Well, I want to know. I'm looking through your profile here on. And again, I want to thank you for matching up with us on Podmatch.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Enjoying the conversation.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
I'm going to reach out to Angela separately and give her a little advice, but that's okay.
Find a new partner.
Yeah.
That schmuck is bringing you down so fast.
Somehow I think you're a good team in the business. Let me just say that.
It's funny because we've only really been friends, 3 years? Four maybe?
4 years.
4 years. And her husband is a local, can I say it?
Yeah. Official in the village.
Official. So, overlooks buildings and stuff like that. And so our first run was like, our front porch was being redone. It's like, what do you mean you're stopping my contractor? And then we had a pool put in.
That's awesome.
And him and my husband hit it off really well. And my husband paid attention to what he was saying, and he was impressed. And then we had them down for dinner one night, and Angela on the way home was like, I really like them. Don't fuck this up for me.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
But the friendship's taken off from there. I'm looking at leaving my other business, and I want to go back out on my own. But I asked Angela if she would be my partner with that, because we're both very creative and we can do a lot together.
That's awesome.
Have fun doing it. I just believe if you're going to be in business for yourself, if you're not having fun doing it, what's the point?
Yeah, no doubt.
I could go work for somebody and be miserable.
Right. Yeah. I know a guy who always says, all you self-employed people, most of you work for a really shitty boss.
Yes, I do work for a shitty boss. Me.
Right. Right.
Because I'm the biggest asshole to myself.
Yeah. Right. But there should be definitely rewards and benefits for the risk associated with owning your own business.
Yep. So, I agree. And, and that is, So Friday night we come down here. We have a bar inside of our barn here, and on Friday nights we usually come down here and we all hang out. We've added some new friends to it, and we do karaoke. And me and Angela have not too shy to go up there and do some Pat Benatar together. And
there you go.
Yeah.
But so I just want to ask. So, what was one of your favorite what if questions from the book, and what kind of change did that spark in people?
Yeah, I have to go to the question. So,
Doug, this is one of the sentences that says you're always ready to answer.
Well, it's funny because I changed it recently. So
he took that one out.
Yeah. Well, I used to always say that I actually would always say that what if this week you did one thing you've been putting off? Because I used to procrastinate, if you will. And then, what I really learned was, that procrastination is, really has just this really high cost. And so I open with that one because I think it's one that applies to so many people. But for me, I think my favorite really, I can tell you is that there's really two. Is kind of a small one is, what if you always see that? What if this week you saw you have more choices than you first thought? Because I think most people always can feel heavy and pressure because they think they don't have choices when they have far more choices than they even know.
Oh, I agree.
Right? And, but if you talk to people who are struggling, and they're, yeah. And when you're feeling stuck, right, you feel stuck because you either think you don't have the power to change it, or you think you don't have, the choices to be able to do that. And then, for me, it's what if, and this is one that probably let go for me, if it goes, what if this week you let go of the regret of any of the past? And that is one that really started and it really started to change my life. And so, what I've come to see is that, it's one thing to wish you hadn't done something, but it's another one, right? So you can have some regret, but the problem is you can't be living in the regret. Because if you're anchored to the past, look, we all,
you can't move on from that.
Yeah, right. So the key is I need to learn from it versus what I don't want to get stuck in it. And a lot of people are really kind of stuck in something that happened in their past.
Yeah.
And that's some of the heavier ones. I don't have a whole lot of heavy ones in the book. For me, it's all about changing kind of just something up small each week. Well,
again, it's funny, not funny that you brought that up because so I grew up with a very abusive father, physically and mentally, and I remember being terrified. So my first marriage, we got two boys out of that marriage, but I remember being terrified. I didn't want children. I was terrified. I was going to be my father. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to be somebody like that. And I remember somebody asked me, I forgot what the question was, but I was like, at some point as an adult, you decide you either let the past rule you or you move beyond it. And I think saying that to myself allowed me to move forward and enjoy having children. And now we have grandchildren, so that's even better.
Right. Yeah, there you go, even better. Right. And I mean, and I think that's right. That's a really healthy kind of reframing. And I agree. We have to make sure that for people listening is, we're not downplaying how hard that can be.
Right.
Right. I mean, some of us.
No, it meant, I literally had to cut my parents out of my life for a long time.
Right.
In order to move forward, because it was just not a good relationship with them. And if you ever listen, if you ever listen to some of the other some of our other episodes, I think the recurring topic comes up a couple of times. But it's just.
I think it's a great message for you to share.
I do share it, and I have another podcast that I do share it in, and it's very difficult for me to talk on that one because it's all about me and growing up. So I do talk about that in that one. And my sister keeps hounding me. She's like, when are you going to do another episode? I was like, all right, well, let you get online and talk about your life growing up. It's not that easy.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, everybody, it's me again, Tango, and I'm going to do our segment here, Tango Talks Tech. And today I'm going to talk about the actual equipment that we are currently using, which is our first upgrade that we got. We were using a Zoom device for podcasting, and it was only a two-player device. And then we started thinking like, wow, if we have guests, how are we going to record our guests if we've only got two microphones and we're both using them? So we went and looked online, and we're not very high end yet, other than the computers that we got, but we upgraded to the Zoom 4, which gives us 4 channels. Plus, we can tag in a cell phone, and we can add music to it, and we can do little fun things like this. And there's 4 buttons on here, and they're all programmable, and you can do all sorts of things that are kind of cool. That is so loud. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm sure that just gave somebody a heart attack. It certainly did me. But there's 4 buttons on here. We can do laughter or applause, and then there's that one again. So there's some fun things on here, and like I said, they're programmable. So you can plug it into your computer, and it actually takes over as the sound card for your computer. So not only is it the microphone, but it's also the recording onto the we use Adobe Audition to record our episodes. After we do our live episodes, we download those, we put them into a Audition, we split it up so I can pop in these little interruptions here. But it's a great little device. It doesn't take up, it's only about 4x6, and comes with 4 headphones, 4 microphones, stands, and the cables. So it's pretty awesome. We're pretty happy with it right now. I'm sure probably next year, as we continue to grow, we're up to 1,200 listeners now, and so we're growing pretty fast, and we're pretty happy with that. So we'll see what happens next, but maybe by the end of the year, we'll probably be upgrading again to get into something maybe with a little bit more better sound quality and control, so we don't get those little shockers like that one ditty there. I'll have to see if I go back through and edit that out. I do apologize for that, but yeah, it's a great little device, and that's my tech for today. And now back to the show. So many people, and I'm going through your questions here because they're just easier for me to do it.
Sure.
They struggle to take action until they feel confident, and I think I think that's for a lot of people. Like even for me, when I said earlier about I'd go to events and get to the door and be like, I'm not doing that, I'm going home. But you teach the opposite. You said the confidence comes from after the action. How do you think listeners can apply that idea?
Well, it's kind of understanding, right? What holds us back, and so much we kind of want to know the 25 steps down the road. What's the outcome? What's going to happen? Right? And so often, what I have found is that taking action gives me clarity. Then, with that clarity, becomes new perspectives and options, which eventually then creates momentum. And so, I know that in my life, so many of the things that I have today, if you had asked me at some time, do you want that? And I think, just like children, right? Like you said, but right. And so sometimes the things that we don't know we want, they kind of happen to us, and they only happen to us because we take steps forward. Now that's kind of a big one, but the thing is that a lot of people think that they're trying to figure out, how do they do this? And more often than not, what you find is by just starting to do something, you then start to find that clarity, and you find that information that you need to go forward. Look, I think, there's a whole lot out there about mindset and reframing, but I think the missing word right on all that is action. You can rethink anything you want, but if you don't do anything about it.
My goodness, I wish you lived closer, because I think I could talk to you probably for like 6 hours in a day. I just think, again, going back to you, I just think this whole notion is brilliant. You know what I mean? To make people just stop and pause and just think, like, well, what if?
Yeah. And then just like you were saying, Doug, is taking action, like it's almost like you're allowing yourself to, like, oh, so what if you make the mistake? If you're not going to take the action, make the mistake and learn from it, then it was all pointless to begin with. Like, you have to actually follow through with all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you think about something, your action can then be not to do something.
Oh.
Right, but
you don't always have to have something to do.
Yeah, you've gone through the options, like, well, right now, is not the thing to do it.
Yeah,
one of the I'll give you a one that's in the book, and it's a really simple little process, and someone taught me, so I didn't make it up. But like if when you say someone sends you an email or there's something going on and you're really getting kind of upset, you just stop and you ask yourself, does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? And does this need to be said now?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so sometimes it's like, yeah, it needs to be said, but I'm not the right person, or definitely now is not the right time.
Oh, that's when I refer things to my husband. I'm like, this needs to be said, but I know you're going to say it much nicer than I'm going to say it.
Well, right. They'll still want to do business with us if you say
right.
it.
If you say it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I just think that if action, right, just what are you going to do today? What are you going to do next? What's the next right thing? I have a newsletter I send out, and tomorrow's newsletter is actually, and I'm not sure when this goes out, so you can see it on my website, but I write about the difference between movement and momentum. And a lot of people do a lot of movement all day, but are they really kind of working on the right things that will create momentum in their business and in their life?
I definitely like that. I've seen people like that.
Oh, yeah. I've coached so many businesses on people that, it's just like they're going broke. And
you come coach us.
Yeah, and they're busier than hell.
We're fabulous, but
but they're busier than hell. They're trying so many things. They think they're trying so many things, and all they're doing is doing the same stuff. Yeah, over and over. I went and visited a retailer once, and we were walking around, and I was talking with them, and it was so funny because, well, it wasn't funny because their business was failing, but the moment was funny because I would say, well, what about this? And she goes, and there was two women who owned the business, and one would go, that won't work. Okay, well, how about this?
I love people like that.
Yeah, we thought about it. And then while we're doing it, all I could think in my mind, and I don't drink, but all I could think is, this would be the world's best drinking game. That every time they said no, I'd been sloshed by
every time you say no, you got to drink.
Yeah, and I just walked away going, so sad. I can't save them because no matter what,
that's the saddest thing. Like, some people are just like, they just don't want to. I think the hardest part for most people, but especially business owners, is to hear that they're doing it wrong. And it's hard to convince them and show them, even with the best interest. Trust me, I fight with my business partners all the time, that it's, I'm not trying to do this to hurt you guys or hurt the business. I feel this is something that will help the business, but because they're set in their way of doing things, they just can't see beyond that point.
Right. Do they listen to this podcast? I'm just wondering.
I'm not really sure. I don't really care either. We had our last guest on here. It was funny. We got about third of the way through, and he's like, "Can we swear on this show?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, we can." I was like, "That's why we have an E rating, because I know how I'm going to respond sometimes." So.
Yeah, right. Might as well be right up front what's going to happen.
Right. Just be safe. We may not swear through a whole episode, but I'd rather be safe.
Right. Yeah. So let's just go to that example with your partners. So what could say? Well, what if we came up with 3 different ways to look at this? Sometimes, right? Because to your point, they're going to be defensive when anytime you almost convey that they're wrong.
Right.
Right. So this again is by opening it up to different perspective and options in a conversation with them can actually make it easier for you to lead them to your answer.
It's a tough one. You know
yeah, but that's a good. Those are like, that's good things to say right there, because
no, I know.
It's just like
This
like I have
like self-help today now.
Yeah. And in all the businesses we've done and things like that, it's like I've been in sales and, one of the biggest things when I was in skincare, you had to sell a product, so like one of the easiest things that they say to do to get a person to buy a product from you is take something off the shelf and put it in their hand.
Yep.
Because you're actually giving it to them to show that they're like, you're already starting the ownership process. You've just put it in their hand. They're looking at it. You're telling them all the benefits, blah, blah, blah. But then my approach was always like, so this is here if you want it. And you have the ability to go back and get it if this is something you want. Right. So I may like start to take it out of their hand and put it back up on the shelf. And they're like, well, no, I'm going to take that.
Right?
Yeah,
because you're taking it away from them. Now it's a loss.
Like, well, wait a second. You just put that in my hand. I'm going to take this home now and start using it. I'm going to be so beautiful and great. And just, this is, all from this one little product. So, I mean, this is kind of.
Hold on 1 second. Just a virtual hug because I used to
virtual hug. I love that. I think that's our first one. God,
that is so powerful. Yes, I just consulted with a outdoors company, and when I would shop their stores, one of the things was I would find is they would talk about a coat rather than putting the coat on me. So, it's the power of touch, and it absolutely transfers ownership.
We're a tactile species. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We like to see and touch and feel. And so, I mean, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Angela, to do that because, it's like if I'm selling a glass to somebody, they want to see the glass. They want to see how thick it is. They want to feel it in their hands and like, touch it. Yeah, that's nice.
Rather than just like you said, Doug, somebody telling you all about this great coat, there's this great sport jacket. It's this, it's that, it's got buttons that go here and it's double breasted, blah, blah. Who cares? Right. I mean, it's not, you don't see it. It's not on you. So, okay, maybe I'll buy it, but maybe not. So you kind of walk away from that. It's just like when we were little kids, it's like our parents are always telling, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. Well, we as adults don't want to hear that either all the time, Right.
But again, if you put it in their hands and then you're taking it away, then it's like, you're taking it away from me.
Don't take it. Yeah.
You can actually, there's another technique. I watched this woman who was working with this. They sold charms and such, and this woman could outsell everyone. So I'm like, wow, what is she doing? I just got to watch. And one of the things that she did brilliant is that she would put a certain number of them out. And instead of saying, now, which one do you like? She would always say, okay, which ones don't you like? And so I called it the takeaway. So she would take things away. So it was just automatic. What was left is what you're going to buy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's
a good approach. Yeah.
I think as humans, again, that whole, tactile and we want to feel it and see it and touch it. I think it's a fear that when you take something away, it's like, well, can I get it again tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like it's a fear, like you can take it away, you're not going to get it again.
Right.
It's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
what do they call it? FOMO, fear of missing out.
Mm.
So
Right.
if you show somebody something, then you say, well, it's only good while you're here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then they're like,
But without actually saying it like
Right.
that, you know? So, I mean, that was always my approach with many things is, okay, well, you know, because you got to be so conscious of so many different things too when you're trying to sell somebody something, you know, maybe they can't afford it. Don't make them feel like, you know, that's, oh, okay, well, you can't be one of my clients anymore because you're like beneath that. You know what I mean? Like you have to just always keep everything in a positive light when it comes to that. And I feel like, and the only reason why I'm saying it like that is I feel like everything that you're saying about your book and your practice is kind of like that scenario. You know, it's like, it's really,
yeah, I can't wait for my book to get here.
I know. Yeah. You know, I just feel like you can't go anywhere without that implementation of it all, you know, like it has to, it's a whole thing. It's not just a one thing, you know?
Yeah. And imagine, right. And just imagine, right, how, you know, like compound interest, right? Compound change and growth. So you change one thing a day, you know, over 365 days, you know, that percentage of growth is just huge. And and that's why I just focus on, you know, don't try to change who you are. Just change one way that you do something in one little part of your life.
Well, that's what I love about the books, though. Each day is a different, you know, you're not like hitting them with, here's a whole page of things to do today. It's just do one thing
at
today.
a time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't feel like you're really like making those real conscious efforts to change like your whole life. You know, it's like you said, it's one thing. So that makes it, I think, more of a simple approach to accomplishing something overall.
Yeah, no doubt. My previous book was called The Day Makes the Year Makes a Life. And one of the things I point out in there is that all success is just created in the day, right? So your total future success, it's all dependent on what you do today. Because, and then obviously the next day, it's what you do that day, right? But ideas and thoughts, right? They don't make you a dime. They don't change your life, right? It's the action, it's the implementation in the day. So reality is all success is created in the day. All change and growth is created in the day.
That's cool. I like that. All right, I think we got time for one more question. I want to ask every single question that's in the book. But
We got much better
we're at 9.
Well, actually, we've told everybody the name of the book is Start With What If. Where are they getting the book, Doug?
They're more important is I want them to use the framework. So if they go to my website,
which I think we're going to post on that.
We're going to post that for you.
Okay.
Yep.
Startwithwhatif.com. And when you go there, you can download a 44-page excerpt. And I give them the entire framework. The whole what if rule talks about what if moments. And then I give them some samples of the different questions. So the book is, I don't know, like 300 pages or something like that.
What?
It is available in audiobook for those who want to listen on Amazon. So anyway, I'm given like, I don't know, 20%. I have to run the numbers real fast, right? But I'm giving you 20% of the book for free because I want you to have the foundation. So if they go to startwithwhatif.com, they can put their email in, which will also sign them up for my newsletter, and it'll give them the entire framework of the book. If they'd like to buy the book, they can buy it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org. There's a number of locations. On Amazon, it's available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, again, Doug, thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate it. Again, I think anybody who can put together something like this is just brilliant. I wish I could.
Or proving anyone can do it. One of the two, but that's okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to stick with brilliant.
Yeah, we're going to stick with the brilliant part.
I appreciate it. I can't tell you that the reviews on the book have been very, very, I've been very pleased with them because
Nice.
people are talking about using it. It's not about the book.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Well, like I said, I can't wait for my copy to get here, and I'm probably going to be printing pages out and sticking them around the shop.
So
Well,
we'll
thank you for
report back. Yes, we'll report back. As,
That would be fun to do. We'll have to report back like in a month or two. Yeah.
Yes, but you have to have. We'll bring your husband and your employees, right? And we'll really find out from.
Okay.
Well, now that he's confronted them kind of on air, I think that would be a good thing.
I mean, it's all my little lies and faux pas will be read out loud.
Hey, I wrote a book, and the opening part of the book is me waking up in a blackout in a center seat on an airplane. So hey, if I can share that, you can share.
You can share. Right?
There you go. All right.
You can share that.
I can do that. But,
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you,
Absolutely.
Doug.
Thank you for your
Thanks so much
time.
for being here.
I really do appreciate it. It was awesome talking to you.
Take care. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay. Bye.